Now, whenever it comes to, okay, the contract's finalized, sending it off to the client, do you still you want them to physically sign it and send it back? Do you do an e-sign thing that you've noticed on that's worked well for you?
So my own business, we have no contracts. We just have people pay, and that's the contract. But in a client's business, I think the e-signing has become so simple and so easy that it's almost a in today's day and age. Now, they're going to probably have to cut a check at some point, but even if you can make that part easier, I don't really know. In Canada, our ability to e-transfer money electronically, send money, has limits on it in terms of the amounts. But even if you can, what's the service called in the States where you shoot money to each other? But yeah, the easier you can make it. Tell
Yeah.
me, do you ever accept credit cards, Grant? You probably
I
do for one
remember
side of your business, but
if
not for.
we may have a couple of times. There's none that come to mind. A lot of times, yeah, a lot of times it's a check. Yeah, nothing comes to mind. What would you recommend as far as you mentioned deposit, 50%, super standard? There are occasionally you run into clients that they just can't pay a deposit. And so the nature of maybe how they got their funding, like if they're some organizations I work with, they got some type of outside grant funding. And the nature of the grant is that they cannot pay a dime until the service has been rendered. So when you run into those type of situations where they just can't pay a deposit, is it worth raising a sink, or it just kind of is what it is?
I think if you're comfortable with the organization, where I'd see that as a red flag is anything overseas. I would not get on a plane to go across the pond. Now, I'm speaking as if I'm a speaker flying all over the place. I'm talking about my clients because I don't actually, it's not my goal to book myself to speak. If you were going across overseas, and there's way too many scams going on with overseas people, when the letter comes and it says, we would love you to participate in such and such conference, but they never ever tell you why they wanted you or what subject matter they wanted you on. Is okay, scamola. So anyway, in those situations, I would never get on a flight without having the money. But if it's a government operation, chances are you're going to get paid. And so I think it's just your level of trust. I would go with it and not be paid until final, but you have to be able to trust the organization.